Welcome to Dance Fit Biz Builders. I'm Orit, dancer, instructor, and proud owner of a thriving Bellydance fitness business. And in this podcast, I'm giving it to you straight, sharing what it takes to kickstart and grow your dance and fitness business for the success you deserve. Whether you're a seasoned instructor, a passionate performer, or dreaming of turning your love for dance and fitness into a thriving career, you're in the right place. Lace up those sneakers and pull on those dance shoes and get ready for truth smacks, tips, and inspiration. Let's do this. Hey there, and welcome to the Dance Fit Biz Builders podcast. I'm Orit, your host, and this is episode 82. I had the privilege of speaking to Suhaila Salimpour, the legendary family of Bellydance, yes, here in the United States. And I was just floored at what an amazing businesswoman she is. We talked about growth. We talked about always learning. We talked about her business leadership. We also talked about staying power and another facet of her business. You're going to really, really love this episode. So dig in, grab some coffee, maybe wine, and enjoy. Welcome, Suhaila. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. How are you?
Well, thank you for having me. I'm really well, and it's great to see you again.
Suhaila, we have both dance, belly dance, fitness pros who listen to this podcast. And if you can let them know briefly, who are you, where you're from, and how did you become so goddamn famous?
I thank you. Well, I'm a part of a legacy family, so I'm second generation. My mother, Suhaila Salimpour, is a pioneer in this dance form, and not just this dance form. I think what my mother was able to do business-wise, she was one of the first women to even own an Arabic nightclub in the United States. And, her love and passion for the dance, of course, extended to me, and it was something that we shared. And my mother founded the Salimpour School in 1949. And we're in our 77th year. And I know. And I took over director of the Salimpour School in 1985. So I've been director of Salimpour School since then. And that was right after I graduated high school. My mom was like, here. I know. And now I work with my daughter, Isabella. Now we're in the third generation. And our focus is really lifting and trying to preserve and document and archive movement and dance all from the Swana region, not just the Salimpour specific methodology, which of course is our focus, and started the first certification program in belly dance, also the first online classes in any movement form, really. Now we have the Suhaila Salimpour Institute of Online Education, which is where the certification program is now housed. We're busy.
Wonderful. So we're going to get right into it. So now you guys know a little bit about Suhaila. So Suhaila, here's what's fascinating. I love that you dipped your toes in so many little things, so many, like the fitness and the dance, and you had jazz, Pilates, workouts for the buns, right? You had belly dance, conditioning. So what was, and because I'm a fitness professional as well, what were your goals doing that?
I think that for me, so I don't see it separate. I see right movement and somatic as just such an integral part of human experience. I know that we have to package them separately in terms of, using that word or branding or all these businessy words. But for me, they're not separate. And I have always been interested in movement and the body and the soma, and also the lived experiences that we carry through generations and our ancestors. And so it was always, I grew up my mother's daughter. I was dancing on stage since I was 2. Also, I was a teenager and then a young woman during the fitness quote craze that, kind of was birthed here in America. And I was lucky to be able to also benefit from all of that. And people were really wanting to move their bodies in a different way. And for me, it's always the connection to the music. That's what I really enjoyed about the way the fitness industry evolved during my teenage and early years, because it was to music and could do little choreographies and we could share movement that maybe wasn't, I'm going to use the word instinctual for Westerners.
Wow. And so you find that beautiful marriage between both easy for you?
I do. And I think it's because I look at it very similarly, and I've made sure to study a lot of different modalities. And I'm a yoga instructor and I have my yoga certification. I love being a part of other systems. I love gyrotonics and I love dance, all dance. Like I love all the Western or, American forms and as well as European. And then my specialty is the Swana region, those movement forms. And I try to focus on how they all connect. And I really enjoyed that. And I feel that the reason why I try to focus on the connection is because it helps me in being able to communicate with all different style or type of students.
Yeah. I can see
bridging
that.
those gaps, bridging the gaps between movement, and
Yeah.
and I think it's fun because there's also like trends, and I've been around a long time, right? So I see the trends in fitness and different ways of talking, and I just love that now we can talk about somatics. And for me, I'm like, well, but that's always been a part of my movement form. It's not a new, way of looking at moving. We're always moving somatically, or the pelvic floor. I'm like, well, you want to talk about the pelvic floor? And I try to be very caring and sensitive to when I'm talking about things that have cultural context and when I'm talking about things that actually don't. And you can take the same movement and apply cultural context to something and then remove it and talk about it just thematically or basic anatomy and physiology of a movement and how it can benefit absolutely everybody, removed from its cultural context. And that's why I started a whole other wing to my business called Core Dimension. Core Dimension is without cultural context, and then there's the Salimpour Bellydance legacy.
We're gonna talk about core dimension maybe a little bit later, but this is great. Yeah. Awesome. I love that. You're expanding. Nice.
Yeah.
So I can speak for myself. Maybe this was an East Coast thing. I don't know, but I got a lot of pushback fusing cardio fitness with belly dance. Did you?
No. And I mean, geez, I worked at nightclubs 7 nights a week for over a decade. Like there's nothing more cardio than like, of course, I'm just like, well, of course it would be a natural progression. I think it's wonderful when there's a certain type of physicality to movement. I mean, as we know, the endorphins and the way it makes you feel and the healing qualities of that. And I too, as you know, you've been to a workshop or two. I'm very cardio athletic, if we can use that word in my classes. And my students that actually went to the Middle East and started performing professionally as belly dance, they would thank me. They were like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for training us this way, because we could have never made it through our shows if we weren't doing those squats.
Yes.
And they thanked me. So I didn't get the same pushback as you did. And I'm sorry you went through that, because there should be, of course, the connect. Again, I'm always looking for connections.
Yeah. I think maybe because I branded it that way, as opposed to you're coming from your mom, which is wonderful, which helps a lot. But I see that you're coming in from a cultural aspect, and then it's just, it was a natural thing for you just to add the drills and the cardio. It wasn't like Suhaila fitness.
Right. I see what you mean. And I think that people should try to lift each other up and find the common goals and connection. So I'm sorry you went through that. But I didn't have that experience. And maybe it was because I am coming from the culture. And then also the other thing is truly working in Arabic nightclubs. I mean, my shows were so incredibly cardio and so exhausting. I mean, a short show was 45 minutes and usually they're 2 hours, and you have 3 costume changes, and you are really wrung out by if you are not, quote, in shape, you can't make it.
Yeah, totally. So I would love to know about your methodology, your format. How long did it take you to tweak it and just get it perfect? Was it an evolution? Did you know how you wanted to structure it?
Well, I don't think it's perfect, and I think it's still evolving, because I think perfect is the imperfect, right? Like it's always moving, and because it's dynamic. The work that my mother did, even in her primitive primary years, it continued to evolve and it continued to grow, and we were always evolving it together. And that's why being a member of the Salimpour School is so important, because you continue with me to grow. You continue with the process. So if somebody says, oh yeah, I know the Salimpour, or I studied with Jamila in the 70s, you're kind of in a capsule of like, oh, that moment in time of that knowledge. Well, just like the fitness world. I mean, when I started teaching what we know about the body now and the physiology of movement and what safety and just basic health or nutrition, it's just so much, grown so much than in the 80s.
Of course.
And I think it's so great. So it's always evolving. We're always evolving. But so I think that my goals are to just always feel that I'm always growing and evolving. I'm also getting my MFA in dance. I will be graduating in May.
Congrats.
Thank you so much. I never went to college. I graduated high school and went straight to the stage, straight to touring. And then when the pandemic happened, I was able to just focus on getting my BA. I got my BA in performing arts and I just went straight into my MFA, and I'll be graduating in May. But I bring this up because I'm constantly trying to grow and evolve, and I don't feel in any way that, okay, got it, nailed it.
Right.
I'm really always working on myself and bringing all that into the Salimpour School.
Wonderful. Yeah, we talk about that. Always keep learning as a business owner, as an instructor, as a performer. Wonderful, Suhaila. Thank you for sharing that. But now, your certifications, like you started off with one. When did you know you needed 4 more?
I always knew. I always knew, and I really started the program because when I was little, my mom would be so disheartened by watching students take for 6 months or even 2 years and then go off and start teaching. And she felt really sad for, that lack of study. It was about the business or commodifying or objectifying or appropriating the culture, all those words,
Mm-hmm.
That was really hard for her. And then they would use her name and say, oh, I teach Jamila format or Salimpour format. And she would just hang her head and say, I wish I could be the one to say who can teach my work. And and she would say, I wish I could certify them. Mm-hmm. And I literally ding, like in my head, I was like, ding, okay, certify. And then I would look at, and I went through, different yogas and Pilates and gyrotonic and different systems. And also I was really moved by the martial arts system because the respect and the understanding and the history and the lineage and the levels of work, like when, you come in, even just the respect of the floor, like you bow before you walk out onto the floor, before you even begin your practice. I just love that. And of course I come from a culture where, you learned certain rituals and traditions that really hold and create place for multi-generations. And so I really loved how, you need to know like all this work, and then you take a test and you get your yellow belt. And then you know that you have to know this much work to then test to get your whatever's next, orange or whatever's next, And I really thought that was brilliant because there's a system and a structure, and it creates placement and acceptance and kind of like an openness for everybody's level. And I loved also that like if one person's outfit, right, their clothing is out of line, you all help fix it. And to me, that's about community. It's not actually about the belt not being tied correctly or anything. It's about, no, you look around and you make sure that you help each other and you're in community together. It's not just about you. So when I started to structure my program, I actually started backwards. So I started with the 5th level, and then I worked down to level 1. Instead of starting at level 1 and then building up, I said, no, what are my goals? As an educator and as a mentor, and then I worked it to then what would be the best entry level.
So then tell me, what was your process? What was your workspace like? Did you have like Post-its everywhere? All on the computer? Okay. So like, what was
interesting?
How did you think about it? Did you have papers and papers of notes?
Well, it all really it all started with my desire to change how I danced and my body and my musical interpretation. So it really wasn't to create a program. It was for my work to change. And I think that for me, at least, that was really authentic and organic. Like I almost had to be my own first student. And so I wanted my work to start on me first. And it was because the music was changing and it was coming out of the Middle East. And by the time we were getting it, it was shocking. It was so different. And when my mom was working in nightclubs, it was like singer music, and so there was like the room was singing these songs together. And by the time I started working in nightclubs, we had that as well. But we also had positions just for the belly dancer to enter, these entrance pieces and these compositions being made for. And so things were changing, and we were adding different show structures and musical structures, and I could see how I wanted my body to move, and I knew I couldn't do it. And because of all my Western training, and also my, the modalities that I was speaking and thinking muscularly and anatomically, I started to put well, if I want to do this movement or this vision, well, I have to kind of apply this knowledge that I'm getting in other forms. And if I can do that, and then I can dream a way of dancing, I can, kind of like I do with my program. I started with this incredible vision. I want to vibrate and do the splits at the same time. Well, how am I going to do that if I can't isolate my glutes? If I can't isolate my glute, well, then how boom, I'm on the floor doing glute squeezes. So that's how it started. It was this movement up here that I knew I couldn't do. And how do I break it down just to its core base level to build those muscles, so then I can go back up the staircase to do that movement. And so then I was writing and digging my own fingers into my body, and I would do a movement. And because what I was learning in fitness and other dance forms was that, if you can strengthen a certain area of the body, you can either get stronger in a movement, or you can control a movement. So I knew I had to go internally and down to the base of it all. And I just was taking notes. And then I brought I was 12 at the time. So I had these anatomy coloring books, and I was looking at the body, and I was digging my hands and then I was doing a figure 8, and I was like, well, I think what I feel is the opposite oblique actually is, and I was looking at my coloring book, and I brought all my notes into my doctor, and I'd say, here, I'm going to do a move, and I'm going to feel it, and tell me if it's the muscle, and so, yeah, that's how it all started.
Wow, you're a unique 12-year-old.
Yeah, I had a lot of time to myself, I guess.
Wow, not the typical 12-year-old. You knew what you wanted to do. Amazing.
Yeah, I could see it in my head. I could see how I wanted to move, and I couldn't move that way. And that was frustrating. And I think I also had so I was born really, really pigeon-toed. I'd trip over my own feet. And at the time, because this was the 60s, they put you in those Frankenstein shoes with the metal rods down the side of your legs, and you just lay there, couldn't walk. It was like the Forrest Gump contraption, right? Yeah. And it didn't work. And my mom was brilliant, because she said, well, this is not working. I'm just going to throw her into ballet, because all the ballerinas turned out. So she just kind of knew that, well, maybe ballet would help Suhaila be able to internally change the structure, right, of her. And it worked. And so I kind of grew up knowing that if I start internally, I can change the way my body moved. And so that's how it started. Yeah.
I love how, not only did you learn anatomically and functionally what would make a movement work, what makes you strong, but now with belly dance, where it's something that is taught sort of improvisationally or intuitively, how did your mom feel about you really getting into the minutia of the move?
The culture, it's always improvisational and passed down through family and community gatherings, and that's how it was in my household too. I mean, I remember, my family, my aunts, my grandma, my cousins waiting for the men to leave the house, go to work, and then they would just move the coffee table over, and it was their therapy. They would dance for each other, and the music would come on, no words. And the music would come on, and they would just dance for each other. So there's that aspect culturally, and that is important because it's the dance of the people, and it's community-based. And as well as it being a stage performance as well. And so what my mom did for her school is start a path and structure for those either not from the culture that wanted to learn these movements, or those that wanted to take it to the stage. So there's the stage version of it, and there's the home community version of it, right? And so they're always separate but connected completely.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the thing that I think a lot of students from the culture, when they come in to classes, they're like, well, right, I should probably go to the advanced class, right? Because I'm from the culture. And I'm like, yes, like I totally get it, but it's a little different. And then they come to the beginner class and they're like, oh, this is structured. I'm like, yes, exactly. Like that is what this is. And you're probably an incredible home party dancer. And so don't lose that. Don't lose that juice. Just add to what you know. Don't take away, so yeah. But there's a difference.
Has anyone of the culture who's come into your class as a student, or who knows, maybe even a family member, have they said that you're making it too rigid because you gave it sort of sequence?
No, they're grateful. I'm generalizing because I'm sure that there might be people that have other opinions, but those that are, I believe those that are drawn to me are drawn because it's what they're looking for. They actually want structure and they want a system. And I believe that really what I try to focus on inside the school is that I try to make my students so well-rounded and feel really empowered to be able to make their own choices artistically instead of just copying my moves. I don't want you to learn how to copy me, which is kind of what happens when you dance in communal spaces. Like I do a move and you do, and we're copying each other, and it's fun. There's actually kind of there's like a dialogue happening. But when you come into a classroom environment of any right movement form, there's a technique or there's a foundation or there's a structure, but it actually allows the student to start creating and evolving and moving on to whatever they envision for themselves. Right. So I say I make you so strong you can look loose.
So, I always say to my students, structure creates freedom.
Totally.
I feel that. Yeah.
I love that. Exactly. I mean, and we know this, right, in other forms or even music, learning how to play guitar or learning how to play violin. You can pick it up and maybe have a few, notes that are beautiful to play. But if you want to maybe compose or move, there's other pathways that I think really you need the structure.
Of course.
Well, it's interesting you say that because my thesis is actually how colonization can create codification, the Salimpour method. Yeah, that is my thesis. Colonization can create codification, and it is not just in this movement form. It is throughout history what has happened. And I really lean on the history of Bharatanatyam a lot to make comparisons to what the Salimpour family has done for the Swana movement forms. Yeah.
Will you be publishing that?
Yes.
Wonderful. Looking forward to reading it.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I'd like to get now into the business when you're creating your certifications. So you started your certifications. What did that look like? Was that in person only? Was that through mail? What was it?
Yeah, it was in person, and I was really lucky because I had my own studio, and I was able to experiment inside my classes and with my students, and we were exploring together. And I really look at my students as evolving and developing the structure of it with me, like alongside, like we were in it together.
I agree with you that your participants, your students, they help you evolve your technique and your format. Yeah, it's always changing. I love that. Yeah. And so they were your guinea pigs.
They were, and also they're still with me. A lot of them, the majority of them, of course, some, do other things and move through this time in their life. But a lot of the really foundational dancers that I put this work on are still with me. And that means a lot to me. Yeah.
Did you find any challenges when evolving your technique?
The challenge that I had and what I really tried to stay open to is, and I have to do it today even, is that being able to admit when something's not working and move on. And that is really, I think, crucial. You can't, I don't believe one should stay held or stuck to a certain concept or an idea of something. And And so that is important to be able to say, oh, okay, that's not working. Let's shift. And even business wise, that's crucial, right? Like, and things happen, life happens. And to stay more fluid within ideas of structure. And I believe this to be inside movement and also outside of movement. Yeah.
Can you give us an example inside movement of a challenge you had?
Well, for me, because I was pigeon-toed, I had a certain structure with my hip flexors that allowed me to vibrate with, I would say, more of a ease, because my hip flexors were relaxed and they weren't pulling on my glutes, right? So I would be confused, like, well, just do what I'm doing, or like I was teaching you what I'm doing, and how come it's not translating? And then I was like, oh, right, because everybody has a different structure, and so maybe what I have to do, my ground zero, I have to go back maybe a few steps and work with someone that has a different internal structure, and then we can get to. So I had to stay open to that instead of like, no, just keep doing this thing. It's like, oh, well, maybe I need to look at what's happening inside my students' bodies and then adjust how I'm trying to transmit the information. Because like I said, I didn't try to create a certification program or this. I was trying to myself move this way. And then I had to figure out how to share it, because people were like, wait, I want to dance. I want to wait, that move that you did, what was that move? And I'd be like, oh, I don't know. What do you mean? What move? And then they wanted to take the move or take my quote style. And so I thought it would be more beneficial to show them the process of my style instead of just here's the move. So that's how I broke it down. But I had to stay really open to change because I had only worked on my body.
Fascinating. Yeah, very good. And now challenges in business?
Well, I feel that because I really want to represent all the different phases of someone's life. So what you go through in your 20s or 30s or 40, and you get married or you have children or you go through loss or you go through divorces, and I feel that I've gone through the majority of all those moments in life too. And I think that there's a human element to business that sometimes we forget about, and there has to be a conversation. And, I have rules, right? And I have structure, and people really feel safe within that. And they can always be adjusted because they just, let's say, disappear. But what happened? Oh, you disappeared because you're going through a hard time in your life and you need a break? Well, talk to me. I will give you a break. Like, let's talk about this. What do you need? How can I support you? And so I think that is something that I'm always working on, trying to transmit that is the message within the business. Like, it's about the conversation. It's about the community, even though, quote, business can look really structured and maybe even rigid at times. It's not. It's still, for me, always about the community and how can I be better in communicating that.
You're so cool.
You are so cool.
That's really cool. That's great.
So it's still, and all of us really, like, I believe, like, because you and I, we're in community together. And so how can we support each other, and how can we support that? And where do our intersections unite instead of looking at us all separately?
Yeah.
And I feel that way,
Yeah. So there are times where you have to pivot in business, right? Dude, the pandemic, taking stuff online, even taking your certifications online. Was there a moment like, oh shit, I got to learn this new system? Or were you like, all right, bring it?
Both. I think that, I think that for me, one of the most terrifying things was the thought of going to school, going to college, and I had to learn that platform. So I'm creating my own platforms and having to learn that, that learning curve. And I had already, started online classes, and I had started the level 1 level online. That was a possibility. But the thought of bringing my whole program online was daunting, like completely overwhelming. And the pandemic forced that, right? And I have an incredible friend slash we do curriculum development together that really is the one that was able to champion me. She was there for me every step of the way. Without that, like, one hand does not clap alone. I
Mm-hmm.
have I have incredible people next to me that believe in what we're doing. But when I started going to school, it was different because I had to really learn, and I'm really dyslexic. So I have, what might take you an hour to read something will take me 3 hours. But I don't mind that uncomfortable feeling because you say, "Oh, you can't do that." I go, "Really?"
I think that's just the nature of dancers. I think that's why dancers are great entrepreneurs. So you've had help with the tech part of it, putting things online. I'm assuming pay people to do it, like
Yeah, yeah.
managing the funding and paying people, and you have to eat yourself. Like, how has that been? And is this also just your livelihood? Are you doing other jobs somewhere else?
No, this has been my livelihood my whole life. And it's a lot of pressure. I think I think that when you choose to be an artist in any kind, or an entrepreneur, or self-employed, there are huge sacrifices. And if you understand that and hold that and still know your why, you're going to make it through the ups and the downs. But there are also limitations to a different choice, like any choice you make, like a structured, like, say, working environment or working for somebody else will have the same amount of, I believe, stresses or unknowns, or then as I do. We have to focus on the why. So know thyself. So for me, I know that this is a life and lifestyle that means a lot to me. And I know that there'll be ups and downs. And I think all artists were terrified during the pandemic because everything that we knew was no more. And we didn't know what that meant. And we didn't know what that looked like. And my business was based on a lot of touring. I mean, we were all touring and we were all teaching. And so we first started shifting the dates and moving. And then people quickly realized, "Oh, well, we'll just not make a plan because how can we make a plan?" And then everything started. So there's a lot you have to be able to trust in the vision, and also know that if you need to make different choices for yourself or your family, then you need to make them. Never an easy choice.
Are you in the trenches of like emails and funnels and onboarding? Like when someone signs up for your certification online, do you have like an automation sequence, and what type of software are you using that hosts your website and your membership?
Yeah, I mean, I love these questions. I have been through many, explored many different platforms, and right now the institute and my online classes, which is the library of work in the school, that we use a really great platform called Learn World. It is a platform designed for educators, and I had issues with just platforms that just were kind of, they have these built-in funnels and built-in, which is great, but I keep going back to this concept of community and the actual communication, like the conversation. And I think that funnels are great. We use them and we decide how many to use. Like sometimes we use a bunch, sometimes we don't. But at the end of the story, honestly, even I don't know how you feel, but I know when I'm in a funnel and I just delete because I'm like, "Oh, right, this has been programmed.
Right.
Next." I do. I know that it's not a personal outreach. And so I'm uninterested. It's kind of funny, even though I have them in my business. But really, what I have somebody that answers the emails and runs all of that because I it's too much. And I have someone that runs the office, right? And so all the questions and the emails, and we're a small business, so it's not 24/7, and there's limited times, but they're there, and it's great. And then I have a certification coordinator, and that's somebody who will answer questions about those going through the certification program, like once you're already in. And and then I have someone that also works inside the platforms that can help answer questions. And yeah, so it's a team. And it's important because I feel that people need more than just me. And if I was just running everything and answering all the emails, well, first of all, I would just be miserable.
Yeah.
Again, know thyself. It's like I have to be honest, that whole aspect of things can be completely full-time and plus, and then you'll have no time to create, no time to actually teach the class, no time to even listen to ideas of what's next, like what, where, how do we grow, how do we evolve. So it can really suck your life. And I'm a big believer of having other people kind of be in the front of the business to answer emails and kind of, go through questions like this, and also social media. Then I have somebody that does social media. And yeah, so I have a little team.
That's wonderful. It's the only way to do it so that you can grow faster. You have to.
And also it's about the sanity. Forget the growth. It's about your sanity. Like at a certain point, I'm like, I don't even care if I grow. I just want to maintain and not do any of those things. But there was this moment in my career, and I remember because Isabella was just born. So it was like, years ago now, decades ago. And I wait for her to go down, right? She'd take a nap, and then I get on my computer. And it's because she's taking, and then I was like, okay, this is not going to work because this is not sustainable. I'm running around. I can't even rest. I'm like trying to throw loads of laundry in between answering emails, right? But I couldn't afford to hire somebody. And I was right there. It was like that there's always that moment where you say, okay, well, if I pay them, I'm not paying me. But you can't not. You try. You almost have to try. You have to jump that leap of faith, try to have, give yourself 6 months or whatever to be like, I have to try. That moment of when you have to release the reins, but you truly have to release the reins, which is really hard because I also like things done a certain way. So I try not to micromanage because you have to say, well, maybe it won't be done like I would do it, but it'll get done. And so just that's good enough. And you have to walk away, or you'll never cross that line of into business.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. So listeners, I talk about this. Get help.
Yeah.
Do it. Go on Upwork.
Don't wait too long. Don't wait too long either.
Don't write.
Because, the other thing too is I had this one business consultant say to me one time, and I remember taking it really to heart. And they said, be really, really careful that you don't wait too long to get help, because what you love, this business that you love and you built, you will start to resent, and you don't even notice it happening because there's the mantra, well, I love this. That's why I'm doing this. Well, I stopped everything else in my life or quit a job I had that had security because this was my dream. And then all of a sudden you wake up one day and you go, I hate it.
I know.
So be careful.
Yes.
Get help.
Yes. Suhaila, what I love? I have some Suhaila certified students who come into my world, and I've introduced them to your world. And it's so great. Like I have this one person, I think she's Suhaila certified 5, Marjorie from Belgium. Yeah, she got certified. And it's lovely. People are saying, wow, this is a great compliment. I'm learning different things here. I'm learning different things there. But I have to tell you, they adore you. Adore you. Yeah. So
that is really nice to hear. And I'm so glad. Also, I encourage them to go out and learn learn other things and learn and add to their basket of information. So that's great.
Yeah. I just they love your certification, your process 1, 2, 3 to 5. They said it's life changing. You really learn about you as a person. When you get to level 5, I think there's some sort of I think a thesis of some sort that they have to. But wow, amazing.
No, I mean, and that's my, for me, like I said, I don't want people to just learn how to imitate me or even my aesthetic. They need to learn how to stand on their feet and know what they want as artists. And the majority of my business, they're hobbyists. They don't get to level 5. They don't, 90% of maybe 95% of my business is all hobbyists, but they want to be a part of the school, and they're members of the school, and there's a membership, to the school because they want to respect the culture and the family and the lineage. And it's really that makes me really happy because they're, most people that go into, let's say, martial arts, or they go in, they're not going to teach martial arts, but it's a part of their life that they want to respect the process in. And so that makes me really happy.
Yeah.
I definitely attract a certain type of student.
Sure. Absolutely. Right. Like even my format's not for everybody. Is it? Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
But I can see how our formats would complement each other because of the understanding of the body and yes, and the
absolutely.
structure. Yeah.
Absolutely. You've created such a great infrastructure, Suhaila. Brava on all
Thank
the
you.
work you've done and for the work that you do. Really.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
So
about making mistakes, learning from them, and then you move on.
yeah, absolutely. It's about exactly. You've got to make the mistakes and learn from it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go into your other brand, Core Design.
Core Dimension.
Oh, Core Dimension. Can you talk about that more?
Sure. I was really moved in when I started to create the internals of the Salimpour methodology, being able to break things down. I knew that it was more than just breaking down belly dance movements. And I was really blessed early on in this process because I was on tour the first 10 after graduating high school. I was just on tour for 10 years, working 7 nights a week. Right? And then when I had Isabella and I married Isabella's dad, I focused on the school. And I had this woman come to me who was working with rehabilitating women in India that had been trafficked. And their torsos, their midriff, their whole torso and pelvic area were numb. And she really believed that fundamentals level 1, that understanding and that work would really help them to wake up these nerve endings and but she was really, really concerned about the word belly dance or the cultural context or that. And so I knew in my heart at that moment that my work could benefit beyond cultural context, but I didn't feel comfortable keeping it in the under the umbrella of belly dance. And so I really felt, because we're working with our core and all the dimensions that holds, and all the memory it holds, and all the history it holds. And so I thought, and core dimension is now a very integrated part of the Salimpour School, and it is the fundamentals and the foundation of the work that you learn, and it can be used. And of course, I did train this woman, and she did go to India and work with these women that were trying to rehabilitate their lives. And I was so honored that the work could transcend, and move beyond. And really, it, for me, was at the heart too of what I love to do, and that is to heal and to be in community and storytell. And a part of the story of this method and this family that I'm part of and feel is this work that I feel goes beyond just being a belly dancer or wanting to belly dance. And so I feel really strong about also the wing of the school and the business called Core Dimension, because it can be used for all different reasons, not just learning how to belly dance. And so that's how it started.
Amazing. And what a way to, and I'm just thinking, this is wonderful, but what a way business wise to now sort of like expand more, because now you've got lasting power.
Right. And beyond, like, it's like, I know I have a student of mine who just contacted me recently, and she's a therapist. She's a dance therapist. And this client of hers came to her and has literally like chronic pain. And she was working with her client on the glutes, and the glute work was really the only thing giving her relief. And so you can take these concepts out of the cultural elements and just individually use them for healing, which and medicine, which actually is even what it's used for inside the culture too. But I think that there's right, but whatever your relationship with the word belly dance is, or the Middle East, or Swana, whatever your relationship with it or the Orientalist concepts, the Hollywood, whatever it is, it will taint your relationship with the movement. So to bring it into a whole other umbrella was important, so people could use the method for how they need.
I am so excited for you.
Thank you.
Even chiropractic, even gynecology, whatever.
Yeah. Every pelvic floor workshop I've been to in different modalities, I'm like, this ain't nothing. I'll tell you about a pelvic floor. What we can do is so special, really. Yeah. So
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's exciting. And also I'm looking forward to being able to share that with people. But because we're such a legacy family, the Salimpours, we are very much, and my life's work is to being able to share my culture and make sure that through dance and music is where we can bridge and hold hands in the world right now, especially when so much can divide us. Movement and art is what can join us, and so I'm really dedicated to that. But we also have core dimension.
Wonderful. So where do you see the dance and fitness industry heading? What do you think's next for these industries in the next decade?
I think that what's happening, at least what I see happening in academia in some cases, is that there's a real desire to open up globally. And so we might think of dance as just Western or European, but now we're opening up and looking at, dance, you mean everyone's dance, all the dance. Okay. And so when you get into that area, there has to be a level of fitness involved in that, because the fitness world should not be separated from the dance world, because they're family members, and we need that knowledge and focus and information, and what I learned in the fitness world is why I'm able to dance now at my age. And I do believe that they're bringing in more concepts of fitness even into the ballet world, and now we have dancers able to dance longer and longer because of the awareness and education that is coming from the fitness world, and we're integrating it today. Like I have knee injuries and I have that. Well, my knowledge of what I need to do in the fitness area, I have to apply to my body so I can keep dancing. So we need each other. We have to unite. But I see it happening.
Thank you so much, Suhaila. It was incredible honor to have you.
Oh, thank you so much.
You really kick ass. Wow.
Thank you. Well, we just keep on. A friend of mine said, it's not about, it's not about winning or losing, but it's about longevity and the test of endurance. And we keep going, and there's good years and bad years. Like we go through things. I mean, we go through life. When my mom passed away, it was so hard for me to function and move through this next phase of my life without my mom, and also the next phase of my business without my mom. And we just keep moving forward.
Suhaila, I would love for you to take us out with our signature outro.
All right, folks, until our next episode, go and kick some ass.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was great.